At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we've got audio. We've got things going this morning. You know what? The thing is, I know we've got this big fire going on out there, but we can try to find ways to, move forward and try to make it a good day. Today is Wednesday, and it is the last day of the month, July 31st. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. You are watching Coffee with Krueger, made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. I want to thank you all so much for joining us this morning, and be sure to chime in this morning, say good morning, say hello. This is an interactive show. That means you can ask questions, you can say hello, you can say goodbye, whatever it is you want to do. Let's get the conversation going. Now, what I like to do at the very top of the show is, for those of you that are in a hurry, you maybe want to get the latest forecast before you head out the door, getting out to work, or whatever it is you do throughout the day. And so let's get you to it. Let's get you to the forecast here this morning, and we're looking at temperatures right now. It's beginning to warm up and a little hazy, a little smoky, of course very smoky in some areas. We'll take a look at that AQI here in just a second, but there you can see right now it's in the mid to upper 60s and around 70 in Red Bluff, 50s for the higher elevations, and mid to upper 50s along the coast. The visibility is looking pretty low out along the coast. Let's take a look at the latest coming in there. I'm just kind of got to go through my website here and kind of maybe refresh this, see if we can get it going. And there you go. That's what it looks like right now in Crescent City. Yeah, we've got the low clouds out there. We've got the fog. This is the way it's been for over a week now, and there have been some signs of showing where we are getting some clearing out there. But overall, along the coast, looking at that fog really kind of persisting, and that'll probably be the case here throughout the day today. Let's get you out the door this morning, taking a look at right now. Of course, temperatures are warming up a little bit in the early morning hours. At 8 o'clock this morning should be in the 60s for most of the higher elevations. We've got those low clouds, that fog out along the coast as we speak. All right, there's that shouldn't be there with the we'll take a look at that later. I want you to focus on the area in yellow to the right. That is a dense smoke advisory. That's until 8 o'clock this morning, but most likely that'll probably be extended. Reason being, look at the air quality out there right now. You can see most of it's off to the east of the valley. That's where it's been all day yesterday for the most part, and that's where it's going to be again today. Very low air quality in many parts of Plumas County, parts of Lassen County, and of course eastern portions of Shasta and Tehama counties as well, seeing some of that poor air quality. And it's not expected to improve much today. Look at this. We take you into looking at later on tonight, and just kind of migrates northward, but still the main upper level flow is pushing that smoke from the park fire to the east and keeping things very smoky just to the east of the valley. Here's what it looks like out there today. Temperatures are warming up. We are going to be looking at upper 90s to about 100 degrees for many of the valley locations. It's warming up in the mountains as well, with temperatures there in the 90s in general, and temperatures in the low to mid 60s along the coast. Looking at your 7-day outlook, it looks like we are going to see temperatures increasing. Now, this morning, what I've noticed is more of a trend where things are leveling off with the temperatures. We're not expecting a major increase, but we're also not expecting a major drop either. So starting today, the valley, for the most part, will be 100 degrees or higher. You'll notice Chico is still about 98 today, but we should get up to about 100 degrees, 101 by tomorrow, and we'll just kind of level it out. Yes, it gets a little bit warmer, averaging out between, say, 102 to 105, maybe even 106 for some of the warmest locations. Here's your 7-day outlook for the coast. Temperatures mid-60s there. I've got mostly cloudy skies pretty much across the board, because you're going to start off, especially in the morning and overnight, the fog, but it's going to have a hard time burning off. There's the inland areas. I have included a chance for a shower, maybe even a stray thunderstorm, especially Friday night into Saturday morning. Same situation for Trinity County. You could see the potential for a stray shower or a thunderstorm, especially late in the day Friday, Saturday morning, and maybe even Saturday afternoon. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for Mount Shasta, El Turris, and Susanville. I've got the chance in there. Now, really, the main disturbance will be moving through Friday evening, Friday night, Saturday morning. And in fact, the valley, and we'll look at futurecasts here a little bit later, but the valley looking at the potential for some raindrops as well. That could get interesting around here, couldn't it? And maybe see some showers. Wouldn't that be nice? Of course, it's not guaranteed. It's very dry out there, and most likely if it does rain, it's going to evaporate before it reaches the ground, but that's something to look forward to and kind of get into here. All right, good morning. We're back. We're finished with that forecast. Again, the whole idea with that first part of the show here is just for those that just want a quick look at the forecast, and you're good to go. What we're going to do now is going to look more in depth. Now, of course, with the fires, we are going to look more in depth with the fires. Just kind of a programming note for you that maybe are in here for the first time, you haven't really watched a whole lot. Now that the fires are here, what we're going to be doing here is in the morning hours, and Coffee with Krueger in particular is when I'm going to really go in depth with the fires. The latest fire perimeter usually comes in by the time I'm on, and we can take a look at the latest fire perimeter. We can take a look at the latest hotspots that just came in as well from the satellite image. So a lot of new data is coming in right around this time, and that allows us to look at the latest data, and that allows you, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, to address those and ask me those questions. I can see them right here on my screen, and I can monitor these comments. So we are checking in with some of you this morning. We've got Happy Wednesday. Everyone's just saying good morning to everybody. We've got Rebecca, we've got Ruth Sanchez, Tracy, some of our regulars. Looks like we've got a new one here. I haven't seen you. This might be the first time. Maybe I've seen a little bit earlier. Diane Sittig, I believe is how you'd say that last name. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And there's Tracy and Lisa again. So thank you all for joining us this morning. Let's get you to it now, and we're going to take a look at the latest fire perimeter that's coming in. Now, the first thing I want to do is we're going to go over the fire perimeter, all of that. We're going to go into some of the local communities and distances from different towns. Then, after I'm done showing all of that information, we are then going to address your questions, comments, and concerns. So if you want to make sure that I see it, maybe wait until later and when we're done here. But if you want to ask during, I might see it, and we'll see what happens. But let's start with the park fire. Here you can see the latest perimeter on top of the latest satellite heat detection. And again, this heat detection just came in the last half hour or so. So you can see the satellite, the fire perimeter, and you can also see where the most of the heat signatures are, and that is the areas in red. See that brighter shade of red just outside of the perimeter? That's where we've seen the most recent activity here in the last, say, 6 to 12 hours. It's been mainly on the east and northeast side of the fire. Well, I'm going to take out the perimeter so you can see it a little bit better, a little easier to see. Again, the areas in red is the latest fire activity. It's mainly been on the east side of the fire. Where you see the yellows and oranges, that's anywhere from 2 to 3 days old. And anytime you get in that gray area, that is, of course, from when the fire first started 7 days ago. So you can kind of see that progression from south to north. And where we've seen the most recent activity, it was yesterday during kind of the peak heating of the day. Now, before we get into some perimeters here, we're going to show you something. And this is looking at a loop. And you can see here, I'm going to stop this loop so we can kind of get a better idea of what's going on here. This is yesterday. Now, yesterday morning, it started off much like this morning, where we didn't see a whole lot of heat signatures. That's what we're looking at right now, is yesterday morning, right before sunrise. When the sun came up, look what happened. We started to see things begin to flare up. On those same spots where you saw the red on the map, this is the exact same spot that we're seeing here from the satellite detecting that heat signature. Now, as we go into sunset, look what happens. As we go into the overnight hours, things really have quieted down. And really, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. Sometimes it takes a little while for it to refresh. We'll take a quick look at that here. But I want you to take a look at the latest. Let's do one more refresh. There we go. And let's see if anything's popped up here in the last few frames. Nope. So we're still very quiet right now. The fire is not very active right now. Yes, there are areas that are burning. There are flames, the works, right? But it's not hot enough that the satellite is detecting that heat. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the latest fire perimeter coming in from CAL FIRE. Let's get that going here. There it is. So these are the latest numbers. I just updated these. These numbers came in not too long ago. We are now approaching 390,000 acres for the park fire. But the good news is, overnight, it went from 14% containment to 18. It's a small jump, but it's a jump nonetheless. We are beginning to see more and more containment. Now, one thing I want you to take note, that black line there is from the 14% containment. I have yet to see where that new 4% is, but that's where the main containment line is on the southwest side of the fire. So let's kind of just take an aerial view around the fire. We're not going to talk about distances just yet, but this is to kind of give you a different perspective and kind of give you a general idea. So at the bottom of your screen, that yellow line is the Highway 99 corridor. And you can see it's pretty much just been kind of following that, or staying parallel to that line. Now we do have, just to the east of Dairyville, the fire that's kind of coming down that ridge, just beginning to try to make its way into the valley. Now, one thing to keep in mind when we're looking at that perimeter as it kind of touches the valley there, that is the fire perimeter even from 2 days ago. We haven't seen any new growth on this side of the fire, at least any major growth on this side of the fire. So Dairyville, you haven't seen this fire really move any closer to you over the last 24 hours. Now we take you out to Cottonwood, and if you look closely, I'll kind of point out here so you can kind of see, because I know Lake California has been an area of concern. Here's Cottonwood right here. Boy, I'm having a hard time seeing it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. You can kind of see the bend in the river here, and there's the lake. So there's Lake California, obviously a bit closer to the fire here, but it looks like there has been a little bit growth in that Dales area. There's been I think I saw a hot spot last night that was near that area, but it hasn't moved much closer. Now, again, we're going to take a look at those distances here in just a second. I just wanted to give you that aerial view of what's going on. This hasn't changed over the last several days. Many of you may remember when the fire very quickly worked its way northward up to that ridge that you see right there. It stopped and it hasn't moved. Now, obviously, it has probably a lot to do with the firefighters out there maintaining that and preventing that from going over that ridge. But it has stayed there, putting it at about 3 miles, I last checked, from Manton. And it hasn't moved any closer over the last few days. In fact, on Monday, I remember reporting 3 miles. Here you can see out towards the northeast side of the fire, there's kind of a perspective looking from Mineral. And you can see that fire. And then, of course, we kind of go on the east side of the fire, where we did see most of the growth. But here's what I'm going to say about that growth on the east side of the fire. It's mainly because it filled in. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, let's take a look again at the main fire. And there's the fire perimeter. This is the latest one, 18% containment. There are the numbers, 389,791 acres. Now again, you can see the main containment line, that black line, that's the containment line on the southwest side of the fire. I don't know of any other black line areas, but I will be on the lookout for that. That's something that I try to look for and try to keep you abreast of where most of that containment is. So let's take a look at some distances. And again, keep in mind, if you have an area you want to check, just let me know. And we'll get into that here a little bit later. Here you can see Red Bluff, 9.4 miles. So again, this side of the fire, we really haven't seen much growth. These numbers have not changed much since yesterday. Now, again, you see that area over Dales, that has grown a little bit more to the west, northwest in the last 24 hours. So it puts it at about 12.5 miles from Cottonwood, 19 miles Palisadro, Shingletown, still about 7 miles. It has not changed much since yesterday. And I'm actually, that little sliver where it's coming up from, that's new as well. That's a little bit of growth northward, but once again, it hasn't reached over that ridge. Then you can see Viola, 12 miles, 6.7 miles from Mineral. So let's take a look at Manton. Again, I haven't changed this. I continue to change the perimeter, but this line has not changed because the perimeter hasn't changed on the north side of the fire. Southeast side of the fire, this hasn't changed either. We're just under 6 miles to Paradise and about 7 miles to Magalia. Now we take a look at some other fires. Mill Fire, the Gold Complex, 98% containment. Really, these numbers haven't changed here. We are seeing these numbers change pretty regularly. Yesterday was at 72%. Now we're at 73% containment. So we're seeing some better containment there on the Hill Fire. This hasn't changed much either. We're not getting a ton of updates coming in from Shelley Fire, but it's at 92% containment as of last check, still at 15,520 acres. Okay. Let's do this, and we are now going to go into an editable part of the map. In fact, let's do this just so I don't mess anything up. Oh, we can do that. That's not a problem. Okay, let's go into here, and let's do it. I need to take this out so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so I'm going to zoom it in here, and I'm going to keep watching you guys. All right, let's see if there's anybody who has any comments here. Good morning, my first day back to work at school. At school? Oh man, is school starting? I guess it is. It's starting up pretty quickly. Holy cow. Boy. Kids going back to school soon. Good morning, very smoky in paradise. And all right, looks like, good morning, Mike from 7 Miles West of Rebel. A little smoky this morning, no wind at all. That's always good. Air quality in Eagle Lake. Not sure, but we can kind of check the smoke. We're going to be looking at the smoke here a little bit later. All right, let's just zoom it in here real tight. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time because there's obviously not a ton of concern. People aren't really asking a lot of questions about different communities or distances, but we are going to take a closer look at some areas. So let's take you to Dairyville, and we're going to take a look at a distance from there. And we are at about just a little under 4 miles there. So again, it hasn't changed much since yesterday. We're going to take a look at Los Molinos right here. You're at about, what, 6 miles? And then we can kind of, let's see here, let's get rid of that. I'm going to keep checking your comments here. All right, just making sure. I want to make sure that everybody gets in what they're concerned about. There's a look at Red Bluff. This really hasn't changed much either. Let's get you right about here. I mean, yeah, it's almost 10 miles away from the fire, so not much concern there. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look at, well, there's Bend. I believe there are a lot of homes in there. Yeah, there are, and kind of a lot of farming. I think this is where my wife's aunt lives, Judy. Judy, if you're watching, let me know if I'm right. You're probably not watching. I don't know. We'll see. Let's take a look at that Bend area from here. That's some slightly new growth there. A little under 9 miles. And then this one is actually a little bit closer at about 8, a little over 8 miles. And then it kind of, as you get closer to that other part of the Bend there. So it just depends. On the east side of that Bend section, 8 miles. And then about another mile or so from that section there. Let's take a look now at Lake California. There's that area right there. And yeah, to the river, it's about 7 miles. As you start getting into the lake itself, there's about 7.5 miles that we're looking at right there to that area. Okay, let us zoom out. We'll take you to, we saw Cottonwood Anderson a little bit earlier, so we don't have to really worry about that. We saw Manton. Let's take a look at, we saw Shingletown, which is still about 7 miles. We'll take you to Viola, of course, that was, let's take a look at Mineral. And let's see here. About 6.5, 7 miles, really kind of Mineral proper, probably closer to about 7 miles there. All right. So here's one thing I wanted to point out when we hear about the growth. So there was an area where we saw, I think it was right here. In fact, yes, it's all right here. I'm going to do a little telestration. And this is not going to be exact or perfect, but I want to just kind of show you. So there was kind of an area right around, that was just kind of going along Highway 32. That was like a bit of a sliver. And that sliver was all shaded red in this area of white. Okay. Now, if we go over here, and I'm just going to put yellow, a new area of yellow, This whole area, I'm just again, this is just kind of spitballing, if you will. There's an area about right here that hadn't burned. Okay, it was kind of to the west of that little sliver, and then everything to the west of that had burned. But this little area hadn't. So that filled in. That's a pretty big area. So that's why that's why the fire grew approximately 3,000 acres. It's this area that filled in. So it didn't really spread any closer to any communities with that growth. It just filled in. Now, I could be mistaken. I don't know this for sure, but I believe that was a backfire that CAL FIRE had produced to help kind of fill that in and get that under control. So I think that's kind of what they did. Again, I don't know for sure. I'm not a firefighter, but that could be the case here. And I'm just going to keep checking in with you all. So that's really what we can take from this, is that the growth that we saw overnight was not growth that moved any closer to these communities. So that is really good to hear, right? Now, are we concerned about today? I think a little bit. I think we're going to see some more flaring up, especially on the east side of the fire here. But we'll get into that here in just a little bit. That's it, folks. If there's any of you that want to check in, or you have any other comments or questions or concerns, you're like, hey, what about this community? Or if I covered it, great. I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm just going to refresh this to make sure everything's coming in. And it looks like it all is. Yeah. All right. So there you go, folks. That's pretty much it on the fires. We're going to kind of wrap up on the fires, and we're going to get into the forecast here in just a bit. But I'm going to check in with you all again this morning and see how you all are doing. Oh, no, we'll get into that a little bit later, because it's going to be in full depth and full detail and all the work. So we'll get into that, and we'll just do the main forecast, and we'll call it a morning. Maybe a bit of a shorter show this morning. As things kind of quiet down with the fire, I've noticed there are less people kind of checking in on the fire. But as things kind of maybe progress, people might get a little concerned. Then that's when you start seeing things begin to kind of ramp up a little bit. But again, I'm glad to see that it looks like Steve Fowler saying that probably was a backfire along 32. Yeah, you're right. I think it was. But again, I'm not the expert. I'm not the one on the ground that is doing that. So there you go. The sky is gray. Is that smoke? Yes, absolutely. There is going to be some cloud cover coming in over the next few days, but that's something we'll discuss here a little bit later. But yeah, most of it's smoke. I mean, as I look outside, I can see blue sky where I am, but then I kind of look off in the distance and I can see some of that haze and smoke. It's been borderline in the Redding area. You're smelling a little bit of smoke, you're seeing that haze, but it hasn't been really super dense when we're looking at that smoke in the Redding area, at least where I am. But there may be some other areas, especially to the East Redding, closer to Palisadro. The smoke gets a little bit worse as you get into that area. The AQ map says things near Chico are good. Yeah, let's take a look at that. We have got the real-time air quality map. Now, this comes in for purple air. It's a little bit more extensive than the government-run AQI map. So we'll take a look at Chico. Yeah, and really, since the fire is to the northeast of Chico, and that's where it started, the wind pattern has kind of kept blowing that smoke out of Chico to the northeast, and even a little bit to the northwest. So as a result, I need to go to the map. There it is. So there you can see Chico, the good air quality. However, on the east side of town, northeast side of town, as you get closer to the airport, for example, you start to see the air quality get worse pretty quickly. And then, of course, toward Paradise, very smoky. In fact, I got some confirmation from Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for your report. Good morning, everyone. It's very smoky in Paradise. And there it is. You can clearly see all of that, the really poor air quality there. Now, as we go up into Paradise, Chester, Lake Almanor, it gets even worse. Or actually, it's not. It's actually a little bit better. You've got some pretty poor air quality there as well. We're going to take you out to the Redding area, and it looks like for the most part, Redding is kind of in that low to moderate range. So again, it's hazy. You might smell a little bit of smoke. There are some smoke particles out there that you need to kind of think about here, but that's really overall. Where we're seeing most of that smoke, you can clearly see to the northeast of Chico all the way to the state line and then into Reno, eastward into Reno. Now, what we've seen here overnight is some of that smoke has kind of settled southward. We're going to see it blow back up to the north here as we go through the day. But again, we'll take a look at that here in the main forecast. Stephen is asking, I'm just curious how I can see smoke and have good air quality ratings. That's a good question. A lot of it could be that it's the smoke that is above the surface. So if you're not smelling smoke, then the sensor is at the surface, right? So the sensor is not going to detect the smoke that is above you. So that's the reason why you're probably seeing the smoke and you're seeing the poor air quality maybe above you, but that's not making its way down to the surface. There you go. So yeah, Stephen, my air quality is not what I would call good, but I am right at Yosemite at 32, possibly getting downdraft. And then we got, where can we find the distance measuring tool? Thank you. Where can we find a distance measuring tool? Thank you, thank you. Well, as of this, the tool that I'm using is in my weather computer, so no one has access to it but me. Let me do some digging on that for those of you that want to play around with it, and I'll come back, Linda, tomorrow, and I'm going to write myself a note. Old school on a piece of paper. I'm going to write a note. That's right. Some of us old school folks using paper. Distance tool is the note that I'm going to remind myself to look for, because I do know that there's one out there. I just don't know where it is offhand. I haven't used it in a while because, well, quite honestly, I've got a better tool here on my weather computer. So that's why I don't use it. But I know that it's out there, so I'll take a look. All right, good. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we get to the forecast? Here I am. We don't need to look at that anymore. Okay, well, tell you what. Good. All right, everybody's good. Well, let's get to the forecast, shall we? Let's get to the more deep dive forecast. We're going to take a look at the fire danger. We're going to take a look at the smoke, what's expected with the smoke over the next few days. We're going to take a look at the winds, the humidity. Oh yeah, and did I mention there's a chance for rain in the forecast, including the valley? Oh, that's a tease. That's what we call in the industry a teaser. So those of you that are like, oh, I think I'm going to go. No, ooh, what? Rain? Okay, let me stick around for that. We're going to talk about that. Well, like what I call a teaser. All right. By the way, Wind River Resort and Casino is the sponsor of Coffee with Krueger at Wind River Resort and Casino. Enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Okay, so here's a look at the current conditions out there right now. Is it not working? Is my computer not working? And it's not working. And you know what? I can't show you the current conditions because I forgot to update them. So we're not going to show you that. We can maybe go off a general idea. We'll do that. And I'll just give you a little bit of a disclosure. Here we go. All right. We're doing it. We're getting there, folks. Again, we're talking about rain eventually. All right. Do want to remind you that if you have any photos you want to share of the fire or anything, I'm looking for your photos. All right. And I want to share those photos, and I want to share them with everybody. And I'm sure you do too. We all love to see each other's photos, right? All you got to do is share it from the free Weather NorCal app. And you're probably thinking, if you're new, what are you talking about, an app? Yeah, there's a Weather NorCal app, and it's awesome. Anyone I've talked to about it says they absolutely love it. So here's what I always recommend. If you're new to this, you're wondering, all right, do I need another weather app on my phone? Yes, you do. And I want you to check this one out. Try it out. Download it, okay? Download the app. Go to your app store, go to your Google Play Store, search for Weather NorCal, look for that logo right there, and install it. If you don't like it, you're like, it's terrible, then take it off your phone. It's as simple as that. But one thing I want you to remember when you're looking at this Weather NorCal app, a lot of things. You can watch my latest video forecast, you can watch the 24-hour streaming channel, you can watch the special programming like Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, Ag Report, the works. You also get your 7-day forecast, which, by the way, it's not 100% AI generated. I have 6 Actually, there's a total of 9 different places, regions that I forecast, 7-day forecast. And then what it does is it takes a centralized location and then it kind of extrapolates all the other numbers. It's kind of give you an idea that the forecast that you see on the app here is going to be consistent with what you see on this forecast, this video forecast as well. So again, check it out. You can share your photos from the app as well. So I want you to check that out. All right, here's what we got. A warming trend the rest of the week. The cooler temperatures we've been experiencing, say goodbye. They're over. We're going to be mainly out of the 90s in the valley. Some places in the south end of the valley still upper 90s today, but that will probably go away by tomorrow. Overnight lows will also increase. You may have noticed this morning is a little bit warmer, and it was. Return of mountain thunderstorms, yeah, there's that chance for showers I was talking about. But the thing is, even the valley could see some of that. We'll take a look at futurecasts here in a second. Triple-digit heat in the valley through next week. Now, it doesn't look like in the long range it's going to get as hot as I initially thought, but we'll take a closer look at that in here in a second. Now, there is a fire weather watch for tomorrow in central western Siskiyou County because of the gusty winds and low humidity there. Now, look at the winds right now. They're not that much of an issue. However, you can see a little bit of an elevated wind, unfortunately, around the fire. That's in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range. But again, nothing major. The winds are, as we typically see, calm down in the early morning hours. Noon today, look at the winds. Not much going on, right? You can kind of see they're coming in from southwest, moving to the northeast. The north end of the fire here may be coming in a little bit from the west to east. Now we take you into this afternoon. Your typical afternoon breeze is kicking in, but nothing major. You'll notice it in the valley, coming in from the south when we're talking about the vicinity of the fire. Now again, one thing to remember is these fires can create their own wind patterns. They can create their own conditions. But this is just looking at the overall pattern that we're seeing here from the forecast model data. 10 p.m. tonight, the winds should start to relax. As a result, we may start to see the fire begin to kind of stand down as well. 8 a.m. on Thursday, winds are calm. Winds are actually coming a little bit from the northwest down to the south and east. That'll probably shift later in the day. In fact, you can see that coming in from southwest, moving to the north and east. That's tomorrow at noon. Once again, nothing major with the winds. But again, they do pick up Thursday afternoon, typical, pretty standard. And there you can see winds coming in from south-southwest. Okay? Now, another thing you'll note, we do have some pretty strong winds still in the valley, some stronger winds in Siskiyou County and even in the mountains here. This is going to impact the fire danger, which is why, this is one of the reasons why we've got that fire weather watch for central Siskiyou County. Now on Friday, once again, the morning, those winds die down. We go into Friday afternoon, winds pick up back up again. Standard. You know, the thing is, let's just forget about the fires right now. Take that out of the equation. Let's not talk about the fires right now. Let's just talk about the wind pattern that we're seeing here. This is the wind pattern I have been talking about since all the fires started. It calms down in the morning. The winds pick up in the afternoon. So this is nothing unusual. Apparently there's been some kind of buzz going around saying, oh, in the next couple of days, winds are going to be blowing from east to west. That could mean the fire will blow back to some of these towns like Red Bluff and Redding, right? No, let's put that to rest. Don't listen to those rumors. I'm not seeing a wind event where the winds at the surface are going to blow from east to west and blow the fire into any large communities. I don't see it happening, okay? So put that rumor to rest. And if anybody tells you that that's happening, say, go watch Mike Krueger. He's going to tell you otherwise. All right? Okay, so let's take a look at that relative humidity. Here it is. The humidity is still low for today. The unfortunate part is, as we go into tomorrow, look at the humidity going into tomorrow. That's Thursday. We're down to the single digits. It looks like we're going to see lower humidity levels over the next few days. So with the winds in the afternoon picking up, humidity dropping, oh, and by the way, it's heating up, that can really increase that fire danger. Now, again, that's the fire danger even outside of the fires, but, you know, even in the fires, if you got hot temperatures and low humidity, that's easier for the fires to burn the fuels because the fuels react pretty quickly to the humidity levels. If the humidity goes up, we start to see more moisture content. If the humidities go down, we see less moisture content. So the drier it is, the easier it is for the fires to burn those fuels. The more moist it is, the higher the humidity, the harder it is for the fires to burn those fuels. All right, there's a look at the fire danger, the north end of the valley. This is where we're seeing the highest fire danger for this afternoon. We also see some higher fire danger in central Siskiyou County and in that moderate range here off to the north and east. Let's take you into your Thursday. Same situation. It actually gets a little bit higher for the north end of the valley, central Siskiyou County, and even higher off to the east as well. We take you into Friday, still fairly high fire danger. Remember, we were talking about the low humidity, the temperatures going up, and those afternoon winds really picking up. And that's why the fire danger is increasing for many locations of Northern California. Smoke advisory until 8 o'clock this morning probably should be extended till later this afternoon, because when we look at the smoke forecast, look where it's going. Taking you to the noon hour, we begin to see more smoke begin to generate, and then it starts to push into the Chester area, up northward as well. So this is where we're seeing a lot of the areas that have been seeing smoke. We'll see more of it, and it's moving northward. Now, this is where you're going to see the most dense and the worst air quality. Okay, the air quality will be worse there. Bad air quality up to the north, but not as bad. You'll probably still smelling smoke in this area, but just more in the way of haze, once again, for many parts of the valley. Now, we can see as we go into tomorrow morning, that smoke really kind of just settles in for many of the same areas that we see for this afternoon and evening. And then as we go into tomorrow around noon, another plume of smoke kind of works its way into the Chester area, working its way northward. And then going into Thursday night, very dense smoke once again, mainly to the east of the valley. So here's your satellite image. The monsoon moisture is really what I have my eyes on right here, because that's the source of moisture for the rain that I teased you about a little bit earlier here, all right? Also, to the south, we've got some tropical disturbances. Now, those are mainly moving westward, but some of the moisture from this one may impact us by early next week. A closer look at that here in a second. This is, again, what we're talking about, the potential for lightning strikes and thunderstorms for the higher elevations in the areas in red. Now, when you look at this, it certainly is alarming. Oh man, look at all these lightning strikes, it's going to be terrible. No, we're not going to see a major outbreak of thunderstorms. Let me just kind of put that out there, right? We're not going to see a major outbreak of thunderstorms, but there could be some stray thunderstorms popping up, which means with thunderstorms, it's not just the lightning that we've got to be concerned about, but thunderstorms produce winds, these outflow gusts of winds, okay? And that can create problems, especially if one develops near a fire. Okay, because then it starts to kind of blow and create some strong winds. We don't need that, right? Now, you're going to hear too that, okay, maybe we'll get some rain out of it. That's great, but what's the trade-off here? Maybe a little bit of rain in some spots here, or a chance of a new fire being sparked by lightning. So that's kind of one of the things we just don't want to see. Now, yes, you're also going to hear others talk about the increased humidity. That's great. But again, it's that trade-off, because when we add that humidity, we bring in that monsoon moisture. Yeah, the humidity goes up. It's going to feel muggy, but that's the moisture source for the thunderstorms. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast to show what I'm talking about. Now, we're going to kind of see here this afternoon, just some afternoon clouds developing in the mountains. That fog is going to persist for a good part of the day along the coast. Now, we take you into your Thursday. Same situation, that fog, I mean, it's having a hard time burning off even in the afternoon. Mostly cloudy along the coast, but plenty of sunshine as you start heading away from the coast. Now look at Friday. Here's Friday at noon. There's that monsoon moisture, it's approaching, okay? So things on Friday through the day, you're going to start to feel more muggy outside. You're going to begin to see more clouds coming in from the south. That is if it's not covered by smoke, right? And of course there's a fog along the coast. Now watch closely. We're going to go into Friday afternoon. There it is. Now notice we're seeing some of that making its way into the valley. A couple of things to take into account. Yes, it'll be nice to see a few drops. It's going to be muggy. It's going to be hot. You're going to be looking at the potential for some rain. Let's just say light showers or a sprinkle. That's most likely what we're looking at. As you know, the air is very, very dry. And these are typically what we call high base thunderstorms. So what happens, or showers even. So what happens is you have the surface right here, and then you have the thunderstorm up here. So the higher that thunderstorm or cloud is, the longer it takes for the rain to get down to the surface. So if it's very dry out there, that rain can evaporate before it even reaches the ground. And that's why you hear the term dry thunderstorms. Because if they're high-based, the rain dries out before it reaches the ground, you get lightning strikes still with those thunderstorms, and that's what can happen. But another thing too, even if a thunderstorm develops in the mountains, and it produces heavy rainfall over a particular area, which is good. The heavy rainfall is good. But lightning strikes don't care if it's just in the rain shaft. Lightning strikes will strike outside where the main rain shaft is, and you'll see more dry lightning strikes as a result. So something to think about here as we go into Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Now Friday night into Saturday, we'll continue that chance going in. Now we're looking at the more long-range forecast model account and give you an idea. So Saturday morning, we could still see some activity in the mountains even into the afternoon. But look at this, as we go into the afternoon, we're watching a lot of the cloud cover and that monsoon moisture move out. So still a chance for thunderstorms in the mountains on Saturday afternoon, but then by Sunday it's pretty much gone. And it looks like, yeah, remember I was talking about those tropical disturbances? There's some moisture kind of working its way up come Tuesday, Wednesday. Could it be enough to maybe spark a few more showers and thunderstorms in the mountains? Not out of the question, but that's still a ways out. We've still got to see what happens with these tropical disturbances because they're still in their developing phases, and they may dissipate completely. They may get it stronger. We'll see. But that's what it's looking at right now. It's mainly this Friday into Saturday that we got to keep a close eye on. After that, still up in the air. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. Now, all right, let's switch gears, talk about the heat now. We've got a heat advisory for central western Siskiyou County with those temperatures between 95 and 105 degrees. That's for Thursday. That's for tomorrow. So again, we got another heat wave heading our way. The cooler air that's kept us cool, it's moving off to the east. We've got heat back coming in from southern United States, working its way back into the desert southwest. That's the source of heat for us. Now, the thing is, it's going to kind of park itself here on Saturday and then shift southward as we go into Sunday. Now, as it shifts to the south, our temperatures don't really change a whole lot. They're going to stay between 100 and 105 degrees in the valley. And then it looks like it shifts a little bit more to the west, but shrinks and weakens as it goes into Wednesday, Thursday of next week. But still, that heat will be over us, keeping our temperatures above 100 degrees for most of us in the valley. And then we've got another ridge right here, another disturbance up to our north. But overall, not much change in those temperatures after today. So the temperature outlook is keeping us in that above normal category. No big surprises there. Now we're going to talk about the wave heights. They're not much of an issue here. Maybe off towards the north and west here, it gets a little bit higher. But overall, the wave heights are not changing over the next couple of days. As a result, you know, there's no small craft advisories, but there will be that patchy, dense fog. So that is something you'll need to be aware of if you do need to head out and do some fishing or whatnot, whatever it is you do on your small boat. All right, here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. This is a detailed forecast, folks. This is one of the reasons why Weather NorCal is unique, because of course we're online only, but look at all the 7-day forecasts I put in here. You can't find that anywhere else when you're watching a weather forecast, can you? You've got a 7-day forecast for Weaverville, indicating a chance for showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday. Also the case for Hayfork, a bit on the hazy side tomorrow. Temperatures about 100 degrees. Let's take you off to the west now. North Coast forecast. Do you typically see a 7-day forecast for Redway? No, I don't think so. But temperatures will be in the low 90s for your daytime highs. We take you up north. How about that 7-day forecast in Fortuna? Yeah, you got a 7-day forecast here. Upper 60s to low 70s. Should be dry, mostly cloudy skies over the next 7 days. And we take you out to Hoopa. There's your 7-day forecast. Now, I have included a slight chance for some of that activity make its way as far west as some of the inland areas of Del Norte and Humboldt counties. It may be a little bit too far to the west for that activity to occur, but something I'm watching. Crescent City, you got your 7-day forecast there. Temperatures in the low 60s for the next 7 days. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast looking out to the west. 100 Happy Camp, Syed Valley about 102, 100 in Hornbrook. Let's take you to the south in Scott Valley. 96 for Greenview, 95 in Etna. Hazy, smoky. Looks like we have a chance for showers and thunderstorms on Friday and Saturday. And really, from this point forward, on all of the mountain locations, everyone has that chance now when you're looking at the 7-day forecast. But there's Mount Shasta. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 90s over the next 7 days. For Modoc County, you've got some haze and smoke over the next few days, mid to upper 90s for your daytime highs. A little bit cooler on Saturday because of the added cloud cover. You know, you'll notice that here when we look at that 7-day outlook, you notice Saturday is a little bit cooler than Friday and Sunday. That's because of the added cloud cover coming on in, and that's going to keep things just a little bit cooler out there. There's Lake Almanor, 7-day outlook for Lassen Park and Chester. You've got that chance for showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday. And taking a look at Paradise, there's your 7-day forecast with the highs in the mid-90s after today. Upper 90s, mid to upper 90s really for places like Susanville, for example. We take you to the south end of the valley, your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractor. again, you'll also kind of notice that, but you can see about 95 degrees for Orland, 95 for Durham, 99 degrees for Oroville today, but back up to 100 degrees by tomorrow. 103 for the city of Shasta Lake, Reading about 103, 98 degrees in Lakehead, and looks like Whiskeytown about 98 degrees as well. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for Reading. And again, notice that slight drop in our temperatures from Friday to Saturday. And that's because the added cloud cover. I think we're going to see more clouds on Saturday than we will on Friday. And then it looks like temperatures just kind of hovering around. Now, I don't have the rain in there on the 7-day forecast because it'll be few and far between. It won't amount to much, if anything. And that's essentially what we're going to be looking at right there. All right, good morning, everyone. That's your forecast in detail. Any questions after watching the forecast, let me know in the comment section below. If not, we'll wrap things up here and say goodbye. But let me just kind of check in. Sometimes it gets a little chatty when I'm on the wall and I can't check everything out here. I just got in and we're looking, and are we looking at any winds? No, nothing unusual. We're not looking at any major winds, and that's usually one of the things that I like to really focus and touch on. So that hopefully answers your question. Stacy, if you're still there, that was a question you asked 19 minutes ago. Good morning all, and stay safe. Deb Black is saying hello with a blue heart. Well, good morning to you. Thanks, Mike. So many factors to consider. Absolutely. It's over. I was telling my wife yesterday, it's just like, the fire season can get very stressful. There's a lot that goes into it, and I've got to be aware. I've got to stay aware, and it can be difficult to sleep. I like to take a nap sometimes, especially since I'm up so early. It's hard to sleep sometimes because there's just so much going on. Bye bye. Well, see you later, Kimberly. Thank you for checking in this morning. Loved the show today. Well, thank you. It was certainly a fun show. Great job. Thank you so much, Susan, for checking in. Good morning. Does the smoke cause any changes in the weather? More moisture in the air, cooler temps? The smoke can act like that of clouds. Clouds, as you know, if you get an overcast day, it's not going to be as warm than if it was sunny. Same thing can happen with the clouds. The clouds can prevent the temperatures from getting as warm. Excuse me, the smoke. The smoke can prevent. So, with the forecast high in Chester, I've got what? What is the forecast high that I have for Chester? I forgot. You'd think I would just know that offhand, right? But how many numbers do I have to generate? I've got a high of 93 degrees in Chester. It may not get that warm. It may mainly be in the upper 80s for those daytime highs. So yes, it can have an impact on the temperature. So hopefully that answers your question. Looks like that is going to do it. If there's any more questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. In the meantime, what do you say we get some cameras going? Take a look at a couple of cameras. Get the old jazzy music going. Oh, it's already going. Let's get that going. So that's going to do it for us, folks. Hope you had a good morning. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you got the information you're looking for. Again, programming note, just know and be aware of the fact that for the most part, the fire coverage that I give is mainly going to be, the extensive coverage is mainly going to be right here on Coffee with Krueger. I do some distances to communities on the morning update at 6 a.m., but I typically don't do much in the way of fire coverage for your afternoon and evening update. Unless something major happens in the evening, I usually won't do a live update or any kind of major update. It's the morning hours that I will usually do that. Okay. So there you go. We're going to leave you with a couple of cameras and some music. Have yourselves a great day, and we will don't forget to check in on the latest forecast at noon and at 6 o'clock this evening. And of course, I'll be right back here on Coffee with Krueger at 7 a.m. We will see you then.